So now finally for the fun part, we can actually post our tweets to Twitter. Now I've gone and connected a test account that I've had for many, many years and set up a test tweet that we can use. Now we're going to use a gem called Twitter, which you can find on Ruby Gems. And this gem is a wrapper in Ruby for the Twitter API. So we don't have to talk directly to the Twitter API with our own HTTP requests and everything. This gem will handle that for you, and it understands the Twitter API very well. So we're going to install this, and we can do that by running bundle add Twitter. Very straightforward. And we can look through the docs to see how to use this, but for the most part, we need to set up a Twitter client, and we'll give it our API keys, our consumer key and secret, and then our users connected token and secret. And so those are the two things, our application stuff and our user stuff. And we need all four of those to be sent over so that we can make posts on behalf of a user. And all we have to do to make a post is say client.update and our text. So that's very simple, and it will automatically post that to Twitter and send the API request. So let's talk about how we do that. Let's go through, make sure Twitter got installed. Let's restart our Rails server to pick up that gem. And we can go to our code. Now I've pulled up the Twitter account model because this is the one that knows the tokens and the secret and all of that stuff. So we're going to use this to define our client method. And this is what's going to generate those credentials or use the credentials and generate a client. So we're going to paste this example in, and just like we did in our omniauth.rb initializer, we're going to grab our Rails credentials. Our API key will become our consumer key, and our secret, here, let me grab all of that, we will use as our consumer secret. Now in our database, we've stored the token, so we can reference that with token and secret here. And that's going to take these from our Rails credentials, these from our database, and give us back a client. And then we can use that client to actually make our tweet. So we can define a method on our tweet that says publish to Twitter, and we'll put a bang at the end of the name just to denote that it's actually making an API request and publishing something to a real Twitter account. And the way to do this is we'll access our Twitter account association, and then we'll ask for the client, which we'll grab the Twitter account from the database, call this client method, return the Twitter REST client object, which this defines, and then we can call update and pass in our body. Now we're going to need to know the information about that tweet that was just created. So we're going to have the tweet stored as a variable here. And then we can update our tweet ID in our database with tweet.id. So this tweet that we get in response from the Twitter gem is actually going to be a tweet object that the Twitter gem creates to wrap around the JSON response from the Twitter API. And what's kind of neat is we don't need to know anything about the Twitter API. The gem is going to handle that for us and make the requests, handle the responses, and everything is very Ruby-ish for us. So we get our tweet back, we save the tweet ID in the database, and we are good to go. So we can go to our Rails console, grab the last tweet, and this is our hello world, which we can see here. Hello world, and if we call tweet.last.publish to Twitter, bang, this will actually go and hit our Twitter account and then update our tweet with the ID. And you can see the tweet ID was updated right here, and it was successful. So if we refresh our page, we'll see that we don't get the scheduled for anymore because the tweet has already been posted, and we can view that tweet on Twitter, which is pretty cool. And there we go. 20 seconds ago, we posted on our Twitter account. So that is it. We now have a functional posting to Twitter. There was quite a bit of setup to get to that point. And now we can go and set up background jobs to actually make these posts at the times that we scheduled them for. But we need this piece to be done and working so that we can have that all wired up next. So let's dive into that in the next video.